Ferrari and Shmee150 are two names that are becoming more and more synonymous the last couple of years. And I think we should make a dedicated video to it because there's so much speculation online about whether Shmee buys his Ferraris or whether he's got some backroom deal with them. So I'm going to give my opinion on it and explain a bit how the Ferrari game works as well if you don't know already. And we'll see if we can decide if he buys his cars or if he's forced to buy his cars or if maybe he's not buying his cars. Before I get too deep in this, I want to say this is a video in no way is intended to hate on Shmee or Ferrari. I've met him in person multiple times. He's been very nice to me. One of the nicest, online people I've met, if not the nicest. And I love Ferrari. I just did a very complimentary video of Ferrari, what they're doing with the new 296 Challenge Stradale that's coming out just a couple videos ago. So this isn't intended to hate on either of them, but I am going to give my honest opinion on what I think is going on. So let's jump into it. If you guys aren't already subscribed for me, please subscribe for me. Please hit the notification bell so you get notified right when my videos go live. And please like the video for me, of course, too. It really helps me get out in front of more people. Leave a comment down below, too. Let me know what you think about the whole situation. Now let's get into the topic. So really quick story, just so you have some context for what the Ferrari game is like. One time I was talking to one of my friends at a car show, not at the dealership, who worked at the Ferrari dealer at the time. And a customer walked in and asked my friend, oh, where is so-and-so, his salesman? And the customer literally said that he was there to sign the paperwork to buy a GTC4 Lusso so that he could get the 812 Superfast right when it came out. So it's a very real thing. If you think like the whole Ferrari thing's out of proportion, it's real. They do have a system of if you buy certain cars, you get certain cars, and it's points based, and we're going to get into it in a little bit. First, let's just talk about Shmee and his Ferrari situation and his relationship with Ferrari over the years and how it's gotten us to where we are today. So if you don't know, the first Ferrari Shmee ever bought was a Ferrari FF back in the day, the predecessor to the GTC4 Lusso we just talked about. He bought the car used, he didn't buy it brand new or anything like that, had it for a few years, and he sold it. A couple years later, he bought another GTC4 Lusso this time, so the updated version of the FF that he really wanted. Kept that for a few years, I believe sold it, and then bought another GTC4 Lusso. So his first three were not new Ferraris, they were all used. He wasn't necessarily building like a portfolio with Ferrari by doing that or anything like that. But then he bought his first new Ferrari. So he bought a blue Electrico Ferrari SF90 Stradale right when they came out, which was an interesting move at the time because when the SF90 came out, a lot of car people really didn't like it. It got kind of mixed reviews from press that got the driver saying it was really fast, but not really that fun. And it was a little surprising, especially to me at the time when Shmee bought it, because he had always been a McLaren guy, but something clearly happened there with his relationship with them where he doesn't buy them anymore, basically. So he bought a Ferrari SF90 out of nowhere when the car world was kind of not too fond of it. And that was the first one that he bought new. Now, if you don't know, buying a new Ferrari gets you way more points in the Ferrari system than buying a used one does. Buying that SF90 probably got him more kudos with Ferrari or actual points in their system than any, all three of the first cars that he bought combined were, especially if you didn't buy them from a Ferrari dealer. If you bought a used one from not a Ferrari dealer at all, it probably wouldn't help you at all, unless you're buying something really rare and limited, then it might be a different story. But so basically his first one was a Ferrari SF90. I believe his very next one was the Ferrari Purosangue. He's had a lot, so the order is a little tricky, but I know all the ones he's had. I believe he got a Purosangue next in a similar spec to the SF90, not exactly the same. Another car that when he bought it, the car world was kind of mixed on them. People didn't like his spec specifically. That's not even what I'm talking about. Just in general, Purosangue was a questionable purchase at the time, I would say, and I'm sure it helped him a lot in terms of the points he would have gotten with Ferrari for buying that car. And I will talk about if I think he's buying them, full price or if they're giving him deals or whatever. And I'm in here, but let's just cover which Ferraris he's had, and then we'll get to that. After the Purosangue was the 296 GTS, I believe. Convertible version of the 296. Great car. One of the better Ferraris made recently. Made sense why he bought it, but he didn't drive it a lot, which I thought was interesting, but I think it was more just a logistical thing with that car than necessarily like an intentional not driving it. And after that, his next new Ferrari was a Roma Spider. Now this is the one that I'm going to talk about when I start giving my opinions on things, but keep that one in mind. He bought a Roma Spider, one of the ugliest Ferraris modern day ever made, pretty much consensus hated by the car community, and even normal people just don't think the Roma Spider looks very good. So interesting purchase. And then we get to two of the more recent purchases and the most expensive one and first limited Ferrari that he's gotten, which is important to mention. So he got a Ferrari SF90 XX and a Ferrari Dodici Cilindri right around the same time. He kind of announced them both at the same time and took delivery of them not that far apart. The SF90 XX though was a limited car. I believe there were $799 coupes, maybe $899, and he got one of them, which pretty rare Ferrari, and it's of their special series, the twin turbo V8 car. So it's an important car, and he was able to get one. So he's clearly been doing well with his Ferrari portfolio building, let's just say for now. And he also bought a Ferrari Dodici Cilindri at the time, another car the car world hated, but he loved, and that car seems like he genuinely likes it. He spec'd it kind of based on the car Ferrari based it off of. Not a great looking car, not saying Tim's spec in particular, but just the 12 Cilindri in general, consensus, pretty not good looking car. They are growing on me a little bit, and I'll be doing a video on if there's going to be say a GTO version of the Dodici Cilindri pretty soon here. But as for Tim's cars, SF90XX and Dodici Cilindri, I'm sure the SF90XX has probably made up a lot of the money that he's lost on some of the other cars. Like the SF90XXs have done very well in terms of value on the secondhand market for what they're worth. Not that he's actually sold the car. And the cars that he has sold that he's probably lost money on, like the 296 GTS, like the Roma Spider, this SF90XX has probably made all that money back and then some, I would imagine. Not saying that's why he's buying the cars, we'll get to that, but that in general is how the Ferrari special game kind of works. You hope to get the special cars and win so big on that one that you don't care about the money you've lost in all the other ones. Whether or not that model's still working, we'll talk about as well, but that's the general idea. And of course, the only used Ferrari that he's purchased recently is a 458 Speciale, one of the most iconic Ferraris ever made. He bought it at a great time too, right before they like doubled overnight. Because he bought the 458 Speciale used, I don't think he would have got as much credit or points buying that car than he would have for buying, say, the SF90XX. Because the SF90XX was new and the 458 Speciale was used, even though it's a more coveted, iconic Ferrari to all the car people, let's say, I don't know if he would have gotten the credit, because buying new ones usually gets you way more. Think about it, you're buying the car new directly from Ferrari, they're making all the profit, whereas if you're buying a used one, even if it's from a Ferrari dealer, they might own the car for, say, $390 and they're selling it to you for, $400. They're not making as much money as if they sell a new car for $400 that they might make, 150 grand on, or whatever their profit is. Ferrari is one of the most profitable companies of all time, so I'm sure it's pretty good on their new cars, and I'm sure that's what they prefer to sell and why they reward their customers for buying cars like that. Buying something like a LaFerrari or an Enzo or something like that probably still gets you a decent amount of points, I would imagine. If you want to be considered for something like the F80, for example, I think you needed to own like all 5 of them, the LaFerrari, the 288 GTO, the Enzo, the F40 and the F50. I think you needed all of those to qualify for the new F80. So that's kind of how the special high-end Ferraris work. But in general, he did that, and he has announced that he's getting a 296 Speciale Aperta. So that's important because he's doing well enough with this Ferrari portfolio to qualify for the more rare convertible version of the 296 Aperta. And he also announced he's buying a Ferrari 849 Testarossa, which I'm definitely going to talk about, similar to the Roma Spider as well. So let's start talking about what I think is going on with Shmee and Ferrari and how this whole system is probably working and what I think is really going on. So Shmee used to be the McLaren guy. Something clearly happened. He went through like a Mercedes phase for a while, and now he's like all in on the Ferrari stuff. And that's great. I mean, if that's what he likes, that's what he likes. A lot of people have been speculating right from the beginning that Ferrari's paying him to buy these cars because he was buying ones that really no one liked in the car community, like the SF90 when it came out, like the Dodici Cilindri more recently, and like the 849 Testarossa like very recently, and the Roma Spider. But he's clearly got a passion for the cars too, especially his first SF90. He really loves that. Really likes the SF90XX. He really likes the Dodici Cilindri as well. So there's definitely a credibility that he likes the cars. And we're going to talk about credibility in a little bit here because something happened very recently with Tim and Ferrari that I think gives us some clues to this. So like we were kind of getting at before, the Ferrari system rewards you on points on what cars you buy new, and especially in that model of cars. So we kind of can see this. He was one of the first social media people to adopt an SF90. He got an SF90XX allocation. I don't think that's a coincidence. Bought a 296 GTS. He's got a 296 Speciale Aperta allocation. I don't think that's a coincidence either. But I think it's the other cars he's bought in between that have helped him with that. And I'll tell you after this whether or not I think he's being forced to do these or giving a deal to buy them or whatever. But the Roma Spider specifically and this 849 Testarossa, I feel like he's just buying these cars to tick the boxes because they don't really even fit his collection. Why would he buy the 849 Testarossa when he's got an SF90 coupe that he doesn't really intend to sell, it sounds like, and the SF90XX, the ultimate driving version? I mean, the 849 Testarossa is just a slightly softer SF90XX with a way uglier body. So why would he buy that car? That feels like a box-ticking one. Roma Spider feels like a box-ticking one for sure. He barely drove that car either. I know he said it was a logistical thing, but I think he was being friendly with that one. Off camera, he's a great guy, and I'll be a little more honest with you about what he thinks about certain cars. I just saw him recently, basically on camera, say he doesn't like the F8, Ferrari F8. He told me that in person like years ago, but he didn't say it on camera, so very recently. He does have, he doesn't love everything Ferrari does just because they do it, but he might not necessarily say it. But credibility-wise, I think this whole thing would have been answered for us if he had come out and say he was ordering a Luce when that happened a couple months ago. Instead, he came out and basically said he didn't like the Luce, and he went a step further to say he didn't like how Ferrari essentially treated him when he was at the Luce launch, made him feel very uncomfortable, which is, not only is he one of their biggest proponents on YouTube, but he's also one of their great customers. He buys a ton of cars from them. So for him to come out and say this, I don't think people are being fair when they question his credibility. Sure, there's some things maybe he's nicer about, but I think if there's something that's really important, like a Luce, for example, he will tell you he doesn't like it. So I don't think we can really question his credibility, but I'm not saying I don't think he buys some of these cars that tick boxes. Like the Roma Spider, I think that was a box ticker. 849 Testarossa, I think that was a box ticker. 296 GTS, I think he wanted, and I know he says his now wife really enjoyed driving. So I don't think that was a box sticker because that's a great car too, but they did sell it already and they're getting the more special version of it. So I think he wanted that. So to kind of get to an actual answer on this whole thing, I don't think he has any backroom deal with Ferrari. I think he's genuinely bought into the system and he likes the cars and he's playing the game. He's buying the ones he needs to get the ones he wants essentially over time. I think he likes the relationship with the brand that he's had. I certainly don't think they're forcing him to do this. I think he's willingly doing it. Now, do I think maybe he gets a little preference on allocations and stuff? Maybe. He got an early Purosangue, if I remember correctly. He got an SF90XX, which is a pretty rare car for only having, I think, what, 3 or 4 Ferraris new total at that time that he had ordered. I think he gets a little preference like that because he obviously has had a relationship with Ferrari for like a decade now. But I don't think they're giving him a price break on the cars by any means. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think he has any deal with them where they service the cars for free or something like that. And an example of where he does have something like this is like the Zenvo. I don't know for sure if they gave him a price break or not, but I think they agreed to handle all servicing and maintenance for him and everything the whole time he has the car. I don't think Ferrari did that for him. I think he likes it and he's playing the game and maybe they give him an extra allocation or 2 here and there, but not like a big benefit to him type of thing. He has to buy the cars. He wants to buy the cars. And I think he's genuinely playing the Ferrari game and enjoys it. And I think if we really analyze it, like I've kind of mentioned, he's buying some cars to tick boxes. Like I think the Roma Spider, like I think this 849 Testarossa, they just don't make sense. But he's getting the cars that he really wants. And I found it interesting in a video recently, another reason I don't think he has any backroom deal with them, he said he wasn't able to get an allocation for the Ferrari Dodici Cilindri Manuale, a car that he would have loved to add to the collection for no doubt. He's an owner of a Dodici Cilindri, so that's a little surprising, but it might be because he's getting an allocation for another Dodici Cilindri that we'll talk about in a future video very soon. So subscribe if you're not already to see that. So if he was just getting free handles from Ferrari, I think he would have gotten an allocation for a Manuale. They're making more Manuales than they are SF90XXs, at least coupes. So he probably should have been able to get an allocation for one unless he has one for something else maybe. That's kind of what I think happened, but we'll talk about that. So basically, I don't think Shmee's being given any cars for free. I don't think he has some crazy backroom deal. At best, maybe he's getting an earlier allocation or 2 than he may have qualified for. But most likely, it just seems like he likes the Ferrari game. He's buying the cars he wants to buy or the ones he thinks he needs to buy to get to the ones he wants. It's good for the content. He has lost a lot of money on some of the cars, no doubt, most likely, but the money he's already made on the SF90XX, he'll probably be okay. So that's my 2 cents on the Shmee and Ferrari situation. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment down below and let me know if you think I'm spot on or if you think maybe something else is going on. Let me know. Please subscribe for me if you're not already, and please turn notifications on so you see videos right when they go live. I got some exciting videos coming out this weekend, so please keep your eye out, and I hope to see you in the next Exotics Anonymous video.